The Cleveland Browns enter the 2026 offseason standing at a crossroads that feels both familiar and uniquely complicated. Around the league, quarterback uncertainty is common this time of year, but few franchises are juggling as many variables, personalities, contracts, and timelines as Cleveland. At the center of it all is the most polarizing figure in the building, Deshaun Watson. When Browns general manager Andrew Berry spoke at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis this week, his message was carefully measured but unmistakable. Watson will have the opportunity to compete for the starting quarterback job. In a vacuum, that statement sounds routine. Every player competes. Every position is open. But in Cleveland's reality, those words carry weight. Watson is not just another quarterback on the roster. He is the owner of a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract. He is a former Pro Bowler who once looked like one of the most dynamic, dual-threat quarterbacks in football. And he is also a player who has appeared in just 19 games for the Browns since arriving, now rehabbing from 2 Achilles tendon surgeries after missing the entire 2025 season. Berry's stance was clear. Any player on our roster, we would want to compete. We believe in competition at every spot. That's not different than quarterback. It's a line that signals openness, but it also subtly reinforces something else. Cleveland is not handing the job to anyone, not even the most expensive player in franchise history. And that's where the tension begins. The Browns' quarterback room is less a depth chart and more a buffet of uncertainty. Shedeur Sanders, a second-year fifth-round pick, flashed enough potential to keep the conversation alive. He is young, inexpensive, and developing. Free agent possibilities like Malik Willis hover in the background, dependent on price and fit. Trade options such as Mac Jones are rumored to be available. Prospects like Ty Simpson or Grant Nussmeier could enter the picture through the draft. Then there's Watson, the proven, battle-tested option, at least in theory. Among the candidates, he remains the only quarterback who has demonstrated sustained high-level production in the NFL. At his peak, he was a top 5 talent at the position. The question is no longer about talent. It's about health, rhythm, and whether the version of Watson Cleveland paid for can still exist after years of disruption. Reports have suggested that new head coach Todd Monken may be open to giving Watson a legitimate pathway back to QB1. That makes strategic sense. If Watson regains form, the Browns instantly elevate their ceiling. His mobility, deep ball accuracy, and improvisational ability would unlock elements of the offense that simply do not exist with a conservative or inexperienced quarterback. But banking on that resurgence is risky. Watson hasn't played a full season since 2020. The physical toll of 2 Achilles surgeries cannot be dismissed, especially for a quarterback whose game relies on extending plays and threatening defenses outside the pocket. Even if he returns medically cleared, regaining explosiveness and confidence in his lower body is another challenge entirely. Still, Berry's comments suggest the organization is not ready to close the book. Deshaun's been working really hard. He's been working his tail off, Berry said. That phrasing matters. It communicates effort. It signals buy-in. It implies that Watson understands what's at stake. And what's at stake is more than just a starting job. The Browns' broader roster construction makes this decision even more significant. Cleveland expects to infuse youth into the offense in 2026, particularly along the offensive line. Berry made it clear he does not fear relying on young players. He pointed to the Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers as examples of teams that thrived with youth-heavy rosters. One of the biggest misconceptions is that youth equals lack of performance, Berry said. That philosophy aligns with modern roster building. In today's NFL, rookies and second-year players are expected to contribute immediately. The salary cap practically demands it. But here's the dilemma. A young offense often benefits from a steady, experienced quarterback. Developing linemen, emerging receivers, and new skill players can stabilize faster when guided by a veteran who recognizes blitzes, adjusts protections, and processes coverages at an elite level. In theory, Watson could be that stabilizer. If Cleveland drafts another quarterback, that rookie would be stepping into an offense potentially featuring multiple inexperienced starters. That scenario increases volatility. It can produce growth or chaos. Shedeur Sanders represents a middle ground. He has a year in the system, understands the terminology, and has already faced NFL defenses. But as a former fifth-round pick, his margin for error is thin. He would need to show clear, measurable progress this offseason to leapfrog Watson on merit alone. Financial realities also linger in the background. Watson's contract remains fully guaranteed. Cutting or sidelining him doesn't erase the cap implications. In some ways, that reality creates incentive to exhaust every possibility before pivoting away. But the Browns cannot allow sunk costs to dictate competitive decisions. If another quarterback clearly outperforms Watson in training camp, Cleveland must be prepared to act accordingly. Barry's insistence on competition suggests that door is open. The wild card in all of this is Monken's offensive vision. Known for aggressive vertical concepts and creative use of play action, Monken's system thrives when the quarterback can attack downfield and stress defenses horizontally and vertically. A healthy Watson fits that blueprint better than a limited game manager. Yet scheme fit only matters if availability and effectiveness follow. This offseason becomes a referendum on Watson's career arc in Cleveland. If he returns to form, the Browns suddenly look far more stable than their chaotic quarterback menu suggests. If he struggles physically or mentally, the franchise may finally be forced to accelerate a transition it has hesitated to make. Barry's public posture is diplomatic, but beneath it lies urgency. The AFC remains loaded with elite quarterbacks. Competing in that conference without stability at the position is a long-term losing formula. The Browns cannot afford another year of ambiguity. Watson's opportunity to compete is not a guarantee. It is an audition. Cleveland's message is simple. Earn it. For Watson, that means proving his body can withstand the demands of a full season. It means rediscovering timing, touch, and decisiveness. It means leading a young offense with authority rather than uncertainty. For the Browns, it means balancing patience with pragmatism. Youth is not something to fear, as Barry emphasized, but neither is accountability. Competition must be real, not symbolic. As February turns into March and free agency approaches, Cleveland's quarterback story remains unwritten. There is no clean narrative, no obvious successor, no easy answer, only options, some promising, some expensive, some risky. Among them, Deshaun Watson remains the most accomplished and the most complicated. The Browns are willing to let him compete. Now, the question is whether he can truly compete, and whether the version of him they once believed in is still waiting to resurface. In Cleveland, that answer will shape far more than a depth chart. It will define the direction of the franchise in 2026 and beyond.